The art of motion pictures has existed for more than 100 years. Let me go back one frame. The experience and creation of movies hasn't changed much from a dimensional mindset. Placing a camera and pressing record hasn't changed. Film is still a frontal experience, and filmmaking is still approached as such. The experience of watching movies follows the medium of creation. Someone stands in front of the screen watching the light emitted. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it. I love watching movies and going to the cinema. The experience of motion pictures within a frame can be so powerful to even drive us strongly emotionally. The question we're asking is how can we take the experience of motion pictures beyond the flat screen? Looking at where mediums are going, there's a possibility to start creating content that will be later be able to adapt into future platforms. Traditionally, when we think about creating a film, we imagine a scene inside the frame as a composition, creating depth and parallax using elements like foreground and background while the camera moves. But today, with a new type of devices like virtual reality headsets, augmented reality platforms, or smart devices enabling three-dimensional navigation in space, there's a possibility to start experiencing content from multiple perspectives. I'm not talking about video games or computer-generated animated characters, while they look super realistic. I'm talking about real actors, real human performance. To do such a thing, we have to start imagining and rethinking how we capture content, how we create content, but really most than anything, how we start recording content in a way that will enable us these future thoughts. We are already familiar with 360 video. And while it enables us really to extend the frame into a beautiful panoramic image surrounding us with this footage and enable us to look around, the experience is still frontal. We still have that relationship from where we stand to where we watch the screen. In order to really immerse inside the scene, we're thinking that we really need to capture the light from all the possible perspectives, surrounding the environment with multiple sensors and cameras. This obviously will require a tremendous amount of information to be processed and elaborated, but enable us to start thinking in a new way of how we create content. Obviously, in such a scenario, there's no more foreground or background, but there's hundreds of sensors surrounding the environment that we have to start thinking how we perform, direct, and edit content. With such an approach, and capturing the light from all the possible directions, we can reconstruct the subject in three-dimensional space. Think of this as a 3D photography. With this technology advancements, we're not anymore recording video as a flat image, but we're recording it as a volume. This is what we call volumetric video, which is the process of recording light into voxels. So what is a voxel? Right? That's the big question. A voxel is like a three-dimensional pixel. But instead of being a flat square with light and color, it's like a three-dimensional cube floating in space with X, Y, and Z position. This approach enables us to reconstruct the entire volume from all perspectives, creating really a full, multi-perspective light volume scene. With this capability, we can really start thinking about how we can create content and start looking at it from all the directions. But at the same time, if we think about film and movies, we will need to create an environment that will be large enough to hold an entire set for a movie, and at the same time, powerful enough to handle hundreds of cameras and compute and process tremendous amounts of information. This sounds a bit like a crazy idea, but that's exactly what we did. For the last 3 years, we have been building what we call the studio of the future. We have constructed a gigantic geodesic dome, installing hundreds of sensors, running miles of fiber optic to a huge data center, powered by super-powered intercomputers that really not possible to do at home, but we're looking into how is the future of cinema and how is the future of content. This is Intel Studios, and it's the largest volumetric stage in the world with the objective of defining, exploring, and creating the next generation of immersive media filmmaking. But what does it mean? What does it really mean to have this huge stage with hundreds of sensors and the possibility to capture the data from all perspectives? For our first production, we chose a classic scene of the far, far west. We brought dirt, sets, actors, and horses even, really recreating an entire Western scene inside this volumetric chamber. With this approach, the actors had to perform a flawless performance, had to have a very precise and one-shot even action visible from all directions. There's not anymore the possibility to hide a punch or refer only to the one angle, but it needs to be exactly and well seen from all the possible perspectives. I want to show you one of the first raw outputs of the system. What you're seeing right now is basically a full three-dimensional scanning of the entire set. You can see those voxels floating in space. And what this enables us is really to move inside the scene. We're not anymore watching the light emitted from the screen, but we're now really emerging inside the light, inside the volume, opening really the possibilities to not just to create the content, but how to explore the content, seeing it from multiple perspectives, point of views, and actions. With this technology, we started looking at how can we edit the content much more dynamically, how we can enjoy this control of space and time. Let me show you now one of the final scenes that we captured. This was one single shot, and there was no crane, no camera movement. Everything that you will see was done afterwards, as we were able to move inside the scene and reshoot the entire scene. Let me play it for you. Thank you. So obviously you're saying probably you have seen similar things, right? So yes, good technology enables you to create one single shot and move inside, but can be done differently. So we're trying to explore the same scene and see can we see it from different perspectives, the scene capture moment. And we were trying to challenge ourselves, and we choose a very unique perspective to try to see the same scene. Let's take a look. This time, from the perspective of the horse. Thank you. So as you can see, this is really enabling new possibilities for content creators and editorials and new ways of thought of imagining scenes and producing scenes. But what's there for the audience? What's there for the experience that we experience in movies? For this specific thought and exploration, we went further on and partnered with Paramount Pictures to try to reimagine how we can take an experience of motion pictures of Hollywood beyond the flat screen. How can we take this really an immersive experience? Together with the director Randall Kleiser, we reimagined the movie Grease from 1978 and reproduced one of the memorable songs, You Are the One That I Want. I want to show you a bit of behind the scenes on how we produced that, and you can also take some explorations out the studio.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're in love with this lady. Focus.
Like Sandy here, how's it going?
All right, guys, let's start settling in. You now can go to work. We got 5 on deck. Nothing going on, sir. 1, playback.
Thank you. It was really an historic moment for us and for Randall, coming back 40 years after the movie and recreating that experience in a new way. Let me show you one of the outcomes that take with one of the shots. So we obviously can produce it as we saw before on the Western. We can move around the scene and create camera moves. But we wanted this time to bring in the control to the audience, the control to the spectators, and enable him to have the experience inside the scene and feel like they're really there. We created a full multi-user experience in augmented reality using 6 tablets presented at this year's at the Festival Cannes in France. We premiere the full first immersive augmented reality music video that you can really take your own tablet and experience it as wherever you want. What you're going to see now is a short preview where you will see the people around holding the tablets, and the video you're seeing is being captured from another tablet. It was really amazing to see full teams of people and friends, and we even had families together, coming together and re-experiences this all together. And it's really a changing moment in terms of how you immerse inside the scene. But I wanted also to show you that this can exist not just on a tabletop or on a specific site. So I went this a couple of hours ago, an hour ago, outside when it still was light, and captured the same scene using the tablet, but this time I want to show you how it looks. So what you're seeing right now is the tablet, and basically I'm mapping the entire space, trying to understand the three-dimensional so the scene can be placed. Let's take a look now as I press play. You can see them dancing.
Thank you. Thank you.
As you can see, we can now watch movies as a traditional film or as a new immersive film. It really depends on how and with what you're watching it. We're not trying to replace or recreate traditional filmmaking, but to empower it, to enhance it. We're at a very special moment in the history of filmmaking, rethinking and reimagining of the future of immersive experiences and creation, redefining the future of immersive filmmaking. We're just at the beginning of our journey. I invite all of you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gracias. Gracias.